If you have unfinished projects in your stash, especially December daily projects, then you are in good company. Today, I'm going to share with you how my December daily 2024 project is going. I'm going to show you what I've done so far, and I'm going to tell you the mistakes I made, the things I did well, and what I'm going to do moving forward to get this project done. Christmas in July was the perfect kick in the pants that I needed to jumpstart this project again and get it finished. Because before you know it, it's gonna be time for December Daily 2025, and the rest of the Creative Design team is also creating projects this week, all focused on Christmas in July. So make sure you check out that playlist at the end of this video so you can see all of their inspiration. I didn't know what I was going to do, and then Jema said, hey, you should work on your December daily. And I was like, you know what? You're so right. That's definitely what I should do. So first off, let's talk about what I did right. I started off strong. I had a plan. I had a bunch of layouts sketched out. This was actually my first time doing 10 by 8. So I was a little worried about it because the size feels so much bigger than a 6 by 8. But I started off good with a plan. I had sketches done for the first probably 12 pages or so that I wanted to do. I made sure to take notes in my notes app on my phone. Some of them I had like full-blown stories. I even took a day, did a prep day with a couple of my friends, and we die cut a ton of greenery. I did a bunch of mink pieces. So I used some of Ali Edwards digitals and I printed them out and I put them through my mink and foiled them. So I had stuff prepped and ready to go. I even went so far as to do some interactive elements, and I even did some QR codes with videos. So I was on top of it, starting very strong. I've actually never done that much work ahead of a project before unless I was creating the whole album for a class or something. But typically how I do it is I just take photos and write down the stories in the month of December, and then I come back in January or the last week of December and actually start making the project. I do have to say these really long landscape photos are one of my favorite things about this size. I really enjoyed being able to use some different types of photos, some different sizes. And now that I print at home, it's not that big of a deal. I use the Epson 8500 and it works beautifully. I made my photo collages or like my photo enlargements in Canva, and then I just saved them to my computer and then printed them out. And that worked really good. This here is actually a stamp, but I've done other ones where I've actually put word art on top of my photo and just printed it like that as well. So overall, coming out of December, I was feeling good. I was like, man, I am killing this project. I am doing so good. Sorry for the reflection I'm getting here, guys. That's part of using page protectors. It doesn't look as great on video because you do get all that reflection. But I like my pages being protected, and I also like using the divided pages. It can make for some easier scrapbooking. All right, so now we talked about everything that I did right. What did I do wrong? Well, I stopped journaling. Probably around day 15, 16, somewhere in there, I stopped journaling, and I still wrote like one line of like what we did that day or what my photos were about, but I didn't have that really nice journaling that was basically copy paste that I could throw right onto a page. And that can definitely be a stumbling block for me because lots of times then I avoid doing the journaling part of things. So that was not very helpful. It also is not helpful now going back and trying to figure out what I want to say. It would be so much better if I had at least a few lines for each day. Now, probably worse than not doing my journaling was I stopped taking pictures. I know, it's so bad. The week after Christmas, so the 26th, I took pictures, a few of them anyways, and then there was several days where I had almost no pictures until the New Year's Eve. And I was like, well, I guess I'm just gonna stop at the 25th then because I don't have any more pictures, which is unfortunate. I am gonna cut a slit in my page protector so I can pull out this tag. It actually has a QR code on it as well. And all these foiled pieces that you're seeing, those are all digital elements that I printed out on my printer and then I foiled on my Mink. Now, something about that, I mentioned I use my Epson 8500 for my photos, but for foiling, I use my Brother laser printer. It's nothing fancy, it's just a regular black laser printer. So my next mistake that kind of halted me in my tracks was not having a plan for the rest of my album. So I didn't have sketches, I didn't have notes on like ways I wanted to arrange my photos, nothing. I was just kind of each page starting from scratch. And when I'm trying to do a whole album, I really find that doesn't work great for me. I need to have some sort of either sketches I'm following or sketches that I've made myself and notes that I've made for myself of how I want to at least arrange the photos, if not the full page design. You can see I've brought in stitching, I've brought in overlays that I backed. So I got lots of really interesting elements in this album, but I'm thinking the second half of this album might be a little less fancy. We'll have to see how that turns out. And then the last mistake was not having enough time set aside to work on this project. This was kind of where life came into play, and originally I did have the time set aside. My plan was for January to be a little bit lighter of a work month for me and just focus on getting this project done. However, I was invited to do a presentation at the Stampin' Up! Onstage convention, and so that just kind of threw a wrench in my plans for January because my artwork was due at the end of the month. And so I had to put everything else aside and just create artwork for that and get my presentation ready. So that was a choice that I made. And then in February, we were traveling. March, I was traveling. April, I was traveling. And then you know how it goes. By then, it'd been so long since I worked on this project and I didn't have a clear plan to go back to. So I didn't. I made it up to day 14. And then 15, I had my pieces set out. I had a page that I had stitched and I have all the pieces in there that I want to use, but I didn't actually put it together. So it's so easy to move on with other projects, especially projects that have deadlines. I have classes due, I have videos due, and I wasn't sharing process videos on my YouTube of this project, so it really didn't, give me deadlines. So what am I gonna do to get back on track with this project? I have day 15 and forward to do. Well, I set aside a little bit of time and I know that I need some form of a plan. So I just started writing out my plan and printing photos. So as I figured out, what photos from each day I want to use, I figured out what size of page I was gonna put them on. This one, I'm actually just gonna do journaling on one side, photo on the other, and this is going to be one day. And as you can see here, I have all my photos just sitting in their pockets, waiting for me to go ahead and finish the page. I mean, that is a huge part of the project, is figuring out your photos, editing them, printing them, and just getting that part of the workflow ready. And some of these I have more detailed designs figured out than for others. Here, I just know I wanted to do 3x4 pockets because I had a ton of photos. These ones are going to take a little bit more work to figure out how I'm going to incorporate everything. But I have a general plan. I have photos printed all the way through to the end of the month. When I started pulling photos, I realized that I had photos from earlier on in the month for stories that I hadn't told. And so you know what? I decided I'm just going to move those ahead. I'm going to go ahead and bring those stories from earlier in the month to the end of the month. It really doesn't matter where they end up going. I'm also mixing in some 6x8. Here I did this like fun photo collage of all different pictures of Frankie during the month. So I think that's going to be fun. And to be honest, what prompted this is the new stamp set that just came out, long time no see, and this cute little wiener dog. And you can actually mask it off and use this as its body. And I thought, what a cute like journaling card or decoration to put this all along here and have like a really long wiener dog in a little Christmas sweater. I just thought that will be adorable. So that is my plan for this page. And then for some of my other pages, especially the 6x8s that I'm bringing in, I'm going back to the creative design team sketchbooks. Now these are such a good resource, and it's such a help to be able to just flip through, look for pages that have the right number of photos or the right size or orientation of photos that I want to use. And then the measurements are all right there. I can just look at them and cut my paper, and it makes things so much easier. So we have 3 6x8s. You can see a few of these I have gotten bound with the spiral bounding from Staples. This one, this is actually like a top loading like notebook spiral bound from Dollarama. And it just has page protectors. You just open them up and slip your pages in. And so I have my sketchbook just slipped in there. Eventually I might get these even all bound into one book. I could just unbind them and put a bigger coil since they are all punched, but for now this is how I have them. And then there's also the 8.5 by 11 one, which I can take the layouts and rotate them, and they're pretty close to a 10 by 8. I have to adjust the sizes a little bit, but it gives me some starting points at least for 10 by 8 pages. And that just helps so I don't get stuck at that beginning step. It gets me going, gives me momentum so that I can quickly get my photos are picked, my design is picked, and then all I have to do is cut the paper and do some embellishing and journaling. So yes, that still takes time, but it really speeds things up. So if you are enjoying all the products that you're seeing in this book, I wanted to mention that the 2 main paper collections that I'm using are still available. This is the Season of Green and Gold, and I actually used quite a bit of this for all my greenery because the dies that came out at the same time, I don't know if they are still available. I don't think they are, but they die cut all the greenery. So that's how I came up with a lot of my greenery. It also works for the vellum paper. You can die cut out the vellum as well. But even without that, it is beautiful paper, and I do have a lot of it. I figured that if I had extras left over, then that would be fine because it's so neutral. I could keep using it for other things, and it does have the beautiful gold foil on it and some really gorgeous patterns that don't necessarily have to be Christmas. You could definitely use them for outdoor layouts. I love this green plaid. So it's a really nice collection, and that is in the last chance section right now, so you can get it at a discount. This is the Seasons of Elegance. You can see I've really chopped this up. I keep my collections in these Caydo folders. I have them linked down below, but they work so good for keeping all your papers together, even all your little scraps and everything. These papers have gorgeous gold foil on them, and then this really nice textured kind of paint finish on the other side. So they will work for so many things, and this collection is actually still going forward. It's in this year's catalog, so you can still order that and use it for this Christmas or for other projects, but it has come in really handy for this album. I have a ton of foil going on here, and I know a lot of it maybe doesn't show up as good because of the page protectors, but I don't want to pull every single thing out of the pockets. That's just not an easy way to film this. I hope this first part of the video has been helpful. Now I am going to jump into actually creating a page with you guys. So I'll go ahead and put this off to the side and we can jump right into it. Okay, I'm gonna start out with this photo here. This is gonna be a 1 photo page. It's gonna be a 6x8 page, and I am using the original CDT 6x8 sketchbook. And this is the one we actually designed for Days of December. And I have used the sketches in here a lot, but there are 3 volumes altogether that have the 6x8 size. So I thought I would go with this one. This one actually shows 2 3x3 photos, but I have cut down my photo to 3.5 by 5.5. And I will see if I want to cut it a little bit narrower and go with 3. If the spacing doesn't work out, I can trim another 1/2 inch off the side and that will be fine. But I thought I'd try it first at this size and see how that goes. And I'm going to walk you through my process of picking my papers. So first of all, I'm keeping in mind what's going next to this. The page on the left side of this one is not finished yet, but I do know the photos that are going there, and they have a lot of color in them as well. So I'm going to keep that in mind. They have like pinks and blues and all kinds of colors in them. I was thinking about this maybe for my background. It makes me think of coffee. So I could use this as my very background, or I could use this as my layer right here. I think that might actually be a good idea because I need to put my journaling on here. So if I make that my layer, I could put something else behind this one and then have that the layer that's right behind my photo. I will probably also create a photo mat for this. I tend to really enjoy matting all of my photos. I wouldn't necessarily need to do it against this paper. It kind of pops enough, but it's kind of a habit I've gone into, and I think I'll probably want to end up matting it. So let's look for what I'm gonna cut my whole page out of. So my 6x8 piece. Okay, let's try out some of the different papers I have here, and then I can always go hunting to see if I have smaller pieces. I think that could work. It is bothering me a little bit that the green is quite different, the green that's on the cup. But I like how subtle that pattern is. It's a little bit busy. What about if we go with, it's a little too blah. Even though that has the gold foil in it, it's a little cream on cream. Yeah, no, definitely not that one. Let's see here. Yeah, I don't really love it. What about this one? Oh, I do like the red. That's actually almost a perfect match to the red that is in the cup and also the red in my tree. That is quite nice. I don't think this is the right size though. It's a 1/4 inch too short. And I think that is the last piece, or last bigger piece of red that I have from that collection. So you know what that means? I think I'm gonna need to order another pack of this. So I can get more of that really pretty red. That is too bad. I guess I could always mat it. I could mat it on another color, but that seems like a lot of paper. I could also just use cardstock. This is real red, or cherry cobbler. Yeah, I think that one is a better match. I think I've used both of those colors in this album, both the real red and the cherry cobbler. So I think that might be the direction I go with then. I will do my base out of cardstock and then do this layer with this kind of creamy pattern. And then I need 2 more banner pieces to come down the side. Okay, so this pattern here is one of the only ones that has the garden green color in it, which is a little bit closer matched to the green that's in the cup. So I'm thinking this might be a nice one just to cut in like a little banner piece here. And I do have some scraps of this red, so I could maybe work that in, or I could go for some more like creamy gold. I think that might work because I do need to add some embellishment too. So if I keep with this creamy color, then I could use red to add a flower, or I'll have to look through my embellishments and see what I want to use there. All my number banners were already done because I used dies for those. That was part of that prep day that I did to kind of get all ready. So that's what's going to be coming from the top. And then I could either have maybe that coming out from under whatever embellishment I have. And then these will be long banners here with some room for journaling down here. I'm gonna keep this exact design because it's just easier when I'm trying to make a whole bunch of pages to follow the design. As long as it works for my photo, it makes the process so much faster. I'm gonna go ahead and cut these up and then I'll be right back. All right, so we have our pieces here. So down here is where my journaling is gonna go. I don't have a ton to say about it, so it'll just be a couple of lines. And then I wanna figure out embellishments. So I have my little trays here. I actually got these from Dollarama in Canada, and I have a bunch of foiled pieces that I did. I have extra die cut pieces, kind of like leftover stuff from Christmas cards as I was making them. And then more foiled pieces and a whole bunch of die cut greenery and trees. I have a whole bunch of labels under here. These ones are foiled labels. So lots of options that I can use on here. It's really nice to have things die cut and ready to go so that you're not having to do that while working on your page design. I do have this foiled Joy and Peace little tab, and the sketch actually had a tab on it. So I'm thinking that could go there. That could go like that. I want to make sure I leave enough room over here for our little date. I'm not sure if I want to go right there or maybe slide it over a little bit, but I think I have enough room. Now I could leave that just with the greenery, but I also have these. They're called Joyful Images, and they're a whole bunch of die cut little icons, which also make for super easy embellishing because they just pop right out, and you can just like throw them into your little clusters. Oh, there's actually a little one too. So I could just add some little pine cones on there. That actually works not too bad. The other thing I was thinking, since it was like a hot drink, maybe adding some candy cane, bring in more of that red, especially because I'm pretty sure it was a peppermint mocha, so that would make a lot of sense. All right, I think this is almost finished. I'm just gonna stick together these last couple of details. All right, here is my finished page. I got my journaling down here, and I decided as I put this together, it was very top heavy in this corner, and decided I needed something down here, so I added a little bit more greenery, and then this die cut down here. I thought that kind of went along with the theme of like a coffee, a tea, that sort of thing. Now the other thing I'm debating is this red is looking super dark, so I'm thinking I might take a gold pen and add some little paint dots around the outside, but I'm not sure if it needs it. It probably doesn't. Let's grab the album and put it into place. Now, one nice thing about working in a little album is that you can see the progress as you start to get things filled up in here. And since I've kind of, put all the photos in the back of where everything needs to go, it's just going to be really motivating as I start getting pages filled in, and I can see how it's all coming together. And by putting them right into where they need to go, I think that will also help with deciding what to use for the facing pages. You can see this one has like a ton of colors in there. It's a advent puzzle that we did this year. That was our first time doing that, and I actually really enjoyed it, but you can see it has a ton of different colors in there. That will help me as I have these pages facing in here. When I go to do this one, then I can see what I used on this one, and maybe just replicate some of that over on this page. So there is another page done, and I am that much closer to getting this project finished. I hope you found this encouraging and give you some ideas and some motivation to jumpstart your progress on your own pages and projects. Make sure you go check out the rest of the Creative Design Team videos. You can click on that playlist here, and I will see you again soon with another video.